Instead of focusing on winning arguments, we're teaching the basic fundamentals of sales and marketing and how we can use them to win in the world of politics, teaching you how to meet people where they're at on the issues they care about. Welcome to The Brian Nichols Show.
Yeah, so I'm glad you brought up Trump and Ron Paul and a few of these other people, because this brings me to one of my... I have a good friend, Jack Hunter, who used to work for Rand Paul. He's a huge Rand Paul fan, and he has a theory about politics that over the last few years, I've really become quite convinced by. And his theory is that people aren't so much ideological per se as they attach to personas and cults of personality. Yes. And when you ask yourself, who have been the most influential people in our politics in the last 10 years, think about the names that come to mind. Bernie Sanders, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Donald Trump. Those are in the last 5 years. All those people, whether you love them or hate them, have magnetic personalities. Mm-hmm. They have huge social media reach. People follow them to whatever ideological turf they go to. Yep. And they start on a somewhat similar page, and then they trust this person. Like you said, building trust. Yes. And then that person can guide them to an ideological destination and movement. And that's the problem. It's like the single most effective libertarian people are simply Ron Paul and then now Rand Paul. I mean, Rand Paul has millions of followers across social media. He's on cable news reaching millions of people every single week. So he has a smaller compared to a Bernie or a Trump, but he has a very sizable, 5 million people that follow him on Facebook, that when he puts forward a policy proposal to cut $55 billion of government waste like he did last week, there's a huge base that goes with him because they trust Rand Paul, and they say, yeah, Rand, drain the swamp, go get him, right? Like, that is how the average American works, because the average American isn't like you and I, who are political junkies and checking Twitter all day. The average American learns to trust a specific figure or individual. Your average person who works and has a family and has kids does not have time to go through and study every single policy issue. What do I think of nuclear energy subsidies, right? What they do is they get a gist of somebody. This person shares my values and I respect this person, and this person cares about me. I'll go wherever they go. And that's what you need to have a winning movement, in my view. And I think that's essentially marketing. So, I mean, what is your kind of marketing approach say to that kind of strategy?
I mean, at the end of the day, Brad, right? Like, there's no right or wrong answer in sales. It's a matter of what we can look back and effectively measure as being successful. And right now, what we can look and measure as being successful in politics has been, to your point, it's the personas, right? Trump has taken the GOP, and this is one of the big fears of Trump back in 2015. He is, I think, taken a lot of people, ideologically speaking, more towards this left-wing nationalist populist approach to economics, right? I'd say more of an Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders approach to economics than your traditional free market libertarian that you would see back like a Rand Paul. Openly though, like folks like Josh Hawley or Tucker Carlson talking about these economic policies through a very populist lens. And people are listening because at the end of the day, what moves people, and this is whether it's moving people in the market for votes or in the market for a product, right? It's whatever it is, somebody's seeing value in their action in either buying that product or casting their vote for that person. And again, who has really inspired people from a libertarian perspective in the greater Big L Libertarian Party? Honestly, like, I can't think of any, right? And that's part of the problem, is that we're not having anybody who has that platform, right, with the Big L Libertarian next to their name, to have anybody be like, oh yeah, I can trust that person, because the people they see are just people that, and this is sad, they come across as just average people, right? Like, I'm an average person. I'm a sales executive. Like that's, to them, they'd be like, okay, well, I can trust Brian to, deliver awesome telecom and cybersecurity solutions, but like, can I trust him to run a government? Right? And like, we need, as libertarians, and I'm focusing specifically on Big L libertarians. we got to start building up the bench. And I say that, looking at like what Cliff Maloney's doing and saying build the bench of people who we can then look to in the future and say, oh, you're looking for somebody to run for Congress in this area. Well, guess what? We have a state rep who's a big L libertarian who's been there for 10 years, and they would be a great opportunity or a great option to replace said incumbent who's been there for 30 years. And now people would say, oh yeah, they've been in Senate for 10 years. Like, I know that person. I know Senator Johnson. Like, yeah, that guy. And that's what we need. We need to have somebody be like, oh, yes, I know that person. I trust that person, whether it's for dog catcher, for city councilor, city commissioner, to Congress, Senate, and president, right? We got to start having people that we can look to and say, yeah, do you trust that person? Yeah, okay, well, you know what? They're libertarians. And that's why I think when you were on the show, Brad, and we were discussing this in detail, we were discussing folks who are celebrities that people, for better or for worse, trust, right? And that's kind of why Trump got the nod in 2015. People looked at him through the lens of, we've known him since, what, the 80s, really? I mean, 70s and 80s? And he was a rap lyric. Everybody wanted to be like Trump. And you see that your average person through, whether it's knowing him through that, reading The Art of the Deal, watching him on The Apprentice, they kind of knew Trump and for better or for worse trusted him and what he was saying to them based on their thinking they know who he is, right? And that's why Bernie Sanders has the appeal. That's why Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez gets hundreds of thousands of people streaming on Twitch with her every single time she goes on, because people
Millions.
because people think that she cares, right? And that's what people want in their politicians. Somebody who they can trust, somebody who they think cares about them, and somebody who's going to go to bat for them, right? People who are Trump supporters, and I'm probably generalizing here, but they genuinely look at Trump as somebody who cares about them. I'm not saying they're right or wrong, but that's usually he is that last wall of defense to them, the end of the United States, or the end of society as we know it, and they trust him to be that voice. And why aren't they trusting us? That's the question that libertarians, that's the question that conservatives need to be asking more frequently. Not are our ideas right, but why don't people trust us? We already got that part down. We know our ideas are right. Like, you put them into the battle place of the market, right? We're going to win 10 times out of 10. But then you have to ask, well, okay, why aren't people looking at that and then still trusting us? Why aren't they taking the definitive and empirical data that we have before us and saying, yeah, that makes sense. Let's listen to these folks. That's a question we gotta start being able to answer. And I'm challenging libertarians to get out of our own heads and what we think the answer is, and actually start to ask people, genuine questions, figure out what's their issue, build that trust, and then we can actually see some real change.
Thanks for listening to The Brian Nichols Show. Find more episodes at briannicholsshow.com.